Good afternoon, dear students. Today we will cover the remaining part of the formulation and evaluation of the shampoos, part 2. I am Dr. Shailendra Patil, delivering about the evaluation part of the shampoos. As we have seen the various aspects, manufacturing aspects, as well as the various parameters which is considered for developing a shampoo or for the manufacturing of the shampoo, it is almost equally to keep a check on that by various by evaluating the various parameters. Mainly the evaluation of the shampoos can be done on the following points which are shown here in the slide. The performance characteristics under which that foam and the foam stability, detergency and the cleaning action of that shampoo, effect of water hardness, surface tension and the wetting, surfactant content and the analysis, rinsing of the shampoos, conditioning action like softness, luster, lubricity, body texture and set retention, irritation and the toxicity, dandruff control. Apart from that, microbiological assay, eye irritancy test, and the product characteristics mainly which are covered, fragrance, color, consistency and the package. So coming to the foam and the foam stability, how you can perform this evaluation. The Ross-Miles foam column test is accepted. For this, that you have to take the 200 ml of the surfactant solution which is dropped into a glass column containing 50 ml of the same solution. The height of the foam generated is measured immediately and again after a specified time interval, and that is considered proportional to the volume. The Barnett and the Powers developed a lathometer to measure the effect of the variables such as the water hardness, type of soil and quantity of soil on foam speed, volume and the stability. Friedel and Reed titrated actual standard oiled heads of the hair with additives increments of shampoo until a persistent lather endpoint appeared. This detergency and the cleansing action, cleansing power is evaluated by the method of Barnett and the Powers. The 5 gram of the sample of the soiled human hair is placed at 35 degrees centigrade in 200 cc of the water containing of 1 gram of the shampoo. The flash is shaken 50 times a minute for 4 minutes, then washed once again with sufficient amount of water. Then after filter the hair dried and weighed, the amount of soil is removed under this condition is calculated. The third parameter is the wetting action. The canvas disc shrinking test method can be used for determination of the wetting action, for which a mount whereon cotton duck of size 6 canvas disc 1 inch in diameter is floated on the surface of a solution and the time required for it to sink is measured accurately. Next is the rinsing. The skilled beauticians are employed to make comparisons on the performance of several shampoos. The conditioning action can be, this is also a very important parameter. This conditioning action is a difficult property to assess. This is because it is basically dependent on the subjective appraisal. No method has been published for measuring conditioning action. The degree of conditioning given to hair is ultimately judged by shampoo user who is making the evaluation on the basis of past experience and present expectations. The microbiological assays can be performed for the shampoos evaluation, which requires the various steps like preparation of the pre-inoculum. For this, you have to take the loopful culture of the Staphylococcus aureus aseptically and transfer to the sterilized and the cool 100 ml SCDM broth. Mix well, incubate the broth at 37 degrees centigrade for 24 hours. Then preparation of the media, soybean casein digest medium. Digest agar and the nutrient agar media is to be prepared. The preparation of the pour plates, the sterilized SSD agar 100 ml of that is cooled to 40 degree and mixed with 5 ml of the 5 ml of 24 hours old pre-inoculated culture. This is immediately poured in plates, that is around 340 ml of each, and allows to set. Then the next step is to making the wells on agar plates. The wells are dig on agar plates with sterilized well digger aseptically, and then you have to take the 100 micromilliliter of each sample, add to well aseptically, incubate the plates at 37 degrees centigrade for 24 hours to 48 hours. Then observe the effectiveness of the sample on culture growing on the agar plate, and we can see the effectiveness of sample in the form of zone of inhibition around each well containing different samples. The next parameter of the evaluation is the evaluation of the eye retency. For performing this test, the test cells for dropping 0.1 ml of the liquid shampoo in the conjunctival sac of one eye of the rabbit, the other eye serving as the control. In the case of the first 3 animals, the treated eye remains unwashed, since washing the eye may or may not alleviate symptoms of injury. The 6 remaining animals are divided into 2 equal groups. In the first of these groups, eyes instilled with the substance are washed with 20 ml of the lukewarm water 2 seconds after the treatment, and in the second group after the instillation. Readings are then made at 24, 48 and 72 hours, and again 4 and 7 days after the treatment. If the lesions have not cleared up in 7 days, the test material is considered as severe irritant. The next parameter is the determination of the evaluation of the viscosity, or the determination of the viscosity. Viscosity of the liquid shampoos is determined using a Brookfield viscometer. The 100 ml of the shampoo is taken in a beaker, and then a spindle is dipped in it for about 5 minutes, and then the reading is taken. Now there are certain myths about the shampoo preparations, which we can discuss. That the first one is that which I propose, that you need lather to know it's really working. Is it a myth, or is it, what is that? So if you consider that the facts about the usage of the shampoo is that the foaming occurs when surfactant molecules in the shampoo mix with air and create tons of the tiny bubbles. Ideally, while shampooing hair, head should have only enough lather to lubricate the hair and the scalp. The next myth is that after a while your hair gets used to your shampoo. That's why you need to switch to a new brand occasionally. No, it is the myth. Hair shaft is dead structure, so it can't get used to anything. It is just perception of how your hair responds to a new formula. The same shampoo used on the same hair under the same conditions produces the same result. If you are using the right shampoo for your hair texture, you will get the same great results. The third one question is that the crowning glory of beautiful hair is dependent upon using a particular hair cleansing preparation. Is it a myth? No. That hair shaft consists of 3 layers, namely cuticle, cortex and the medulla. Cuticle, the outermost layer, is made up of the 7 to 10 layers of hard keratin. The cortex, made up of the hard keratin, constitutes approximately 80% of hair's total mass. It is a complicated structure of parallel twisted fiber polypeptide chains, and the appearance is similar to a rope, hydrogen and the disulfide bond. The medulla is found in the center of the hair shaft. Not every hair has a medulla. The hair follicles is a pocket in the skin from where the hair grows. The follicle grows through the epidermis and into the dermis. There are 3 main parts of the follicles: papilla, the germinal matrix and the hair bulb. The papilla is found at the bottom of the follicle in the dermis. This is where the blood capillaries pass nutrients and oxygen into the cells of the germinal matrix. The new cells start the process of keratinization at hair bulb. Thus, hair shaft is dead structure. It gets nutrition from the dermis. Hair cleansing preparations help to make hairs look better but does not provide nutrition. The next question is that the frequent shampooing dries your hair. It is quite the contrary. Shampooing, if done correctly and with the right products, actually re-moisturizes. The natural oils produced by your scalp simply sit on the top of your hair shaft and do not penetrate it. It's moisture that does this, and also a well-formulated conditioner is also doing the same thing. The washing every day can be bad for your hair. If you have only hair, it's fine to wash every day, but even oily types should use a gentle formula, one with moisturizing ingredients like silicones, shea butter and the panthenol. People with coarse or dry hair might want to be more conservative and wash every other day, no matter what kind of hair you have, as long as you stay away from harsh formulas that strip natural oils and treat your strands with conditioners. Regular shampooing won't do any harm to your hairs. The next question is that frequent shampooing makes hair oilier. It is a myth. Clean clothes show dirt immediately. Similarly, clean hair shows grease faster than hair that is already oily. It is a matter of individual perception. Things that actually can increase oil production are hormones and the stress. The next one is the frequent shampooing makes hair fall out. No, it is natural to lose up to 100 hairs a day, and a percentage of this comes out when you shampoo. The act of the shampooing simply dislodges hairs that have already become detached from the follicles base are ready to come out. However, on a day you don't shampoo, while some of those strands will come out when you brush and style. Some of them will also remain sitting loosely in the hair's follicle. This means that the more days you leave between shampooing, the more you will see in the drain. Here is the table which is containing the various surfactants, anionic surfactants, their details and class of these anionic surfactants, their examples, and that where it can be used. You can see that the alkyl benzene sulfonates, under this category that sodium dodecyl benzemin sulfonate are there, and they tend to yield an airy or the low density form and often are drying to the hairs. Likewise, you can have the secondary alcohol sulfates, alkyl benzenes, sulfated monoglycerides, sarcosines, sulfosuccinates, and the mepans, and their examples as well as the comments that you can see in the slide. The similar table is provided for the non-ionic surfactants. You can see here that for the improvement of the solubility, which surfactant can be used, and like other factors which are there, and the amphoteric surfactants are also being mentioned in this slide. Here are some formulas mentioned for the various categories of the shampoos. Powder shampoo, you can have this henna powder, soap powder, sodium carbonate, potassium carbonate, borax, and the perfume. In the lotion shampoos, you can have this TLS, glycerol monostearate, magnesium stearate, watercolor, perfume, preservative. Likewise, liquid shampoos are also, that formula is mentioned here. Apart from that, cream shampoo, aerosol shampoo, and the jelly shampoos formula, few of the examples are here. The conditioning shampoos, the baby shampoos, and the 2-layer shampoos are also there nowadays. The formula for that is mentioned here. Anti-dandruff shampoo is also there, and different formulas are mentioned. One is containing selenium sulfide, and another one is containing thymol and the menthol, and the camphor. These are the natural, herbal shampoos containing the various ingredients which are being mentioned here. It is just for your knowledge as well as for your reference. These are the references which we have taken for consideration. Thank you for being patient and listening me carefully. Thank you very much.